Good afternoon and welcome to the August 22nd Capital Investment Committee. We will start by taking a roll call to make sure everyone's here. I do know Bev is here, but Alderman Caesar?
Here.
Alderman Brown?
Present.
Chair is here. Setting of the agenda. If anybody has anything they'd like to shift around, speak now. Otherwise, I'll accept a motion to approve it as written.
Motion to approve as written.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Citizen comments. Ned, we have Ned Dannenberg with Bike Walk Franklin, and just come up and make sure you push the green button, please.
Hello. I think what I'm going to remark on Mr. Stuckey's already working on behind the scenes, but I'll read it into the record anyway. So I was going back through my notes, and I saw it was August 30th last year when I talked to you guys ahead of the BOMA work session for CIP prioritization. It's been a year, and I know TDOT has sort of thrown a wrench in some of the big picture plans, but did want to come today because the full board really still hasn't gotten a chance to vote on the prioritization for all those other items that are lingering out there. So I did want to ask staff listening today to bring the CIP process back to BOMA before the end of the year so you guys have a chance to vote along with the other elected officials and deliver a commitment to some of these big projects. So you've heard from the Franklin Green residents who don't have a sidewalk to one of our biggest parks, and then folks on Eddy Lane who still shut out from the factory unless they get in a car, and we know what parking is like at the factory. So these are urgently needed projects, and I think they would really deliver on the big themes that came up during strategic planning. I did read all 30 pages of citizen comments, and you saw just lots of themes of wanting connected, walkable neighborhoods and better options to get downtown. So I know it's in the works, but just wanted to make another plea for our forgotten roads.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Ned.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ned.
All right, moving on. Item number 2 is consideration of approval of minutes from our July 25th Capital Investment Committee meeting. May I have a motion for?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All right, roll call vote. Alderman Berger?
Do I need to say I'm here for the meeting too?
I told him you were coming. It's all good.
I was actually here. Yes.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, passes unanimously. Item number 3, under new business, consideration of Amendment 1 to City of Franklin Contract Number 2022-0143 with the Florney Development Group and FDG-NHC Optima JV LLC for Parkland Impact Fee and Construction Agreement.
So this is actually for Parkland Impact, it's just a name change is all it is,
All right,
to an existing.
may I have a
agreement.
motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, first and second, roll call vote. Bev, how do you vote?
Yes.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Item number 4, consideration of Amendment 1 to City of Franklin Contract Number 2022-0158, a professional service agreement with Johnson Murmurin. Say that, Paul. Looks like Miriam, but it's not. Murmurin and Thompson, Inc., formerly known as Vaughn and Melton Consulting Engineers, Inc., for right-of-way acquisition negotiation services on the Columbia Avenue Widening Improvement Project to reflect a company name change due to a recent corporate merger. Same song?
Same thing, it's already approved contract.
Awesome.
Great. Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Y'all are just right on time. Roll call vote. Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, passes unanimously. Item number 5, consideration of Amendment 1, City of Franklin Contract Number 2022-0291, professional service agreement with Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc., for construction, engineering, and inspection services for the park at Harlansdale Farm, multi-use trail and bridge, TDOT PIN as written at a cost increase not to exceed $72,500.
So this is to do the final letter of map revision. We had minor modifications to the flood maps. And in addition, it's to cover some of the additional CEI costs at the end of the project, but it's closed out and this will settle us up. But we do have to finally go through that map revision.
May I have a motion, then we can discuss?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Alderman Caesar, you want to do it again?
So let Alderman Berger get it. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Go ahead, Alderman Brown.
None.
Oh, I thought you were eager to speak. Greg?
I just had a quick question. I'm guessing this is a LOMAR. Is that a letter of map revision?
Yes, Lomar.
And does that change anything other for us in our ability to use that
No, has no impact. It's just the floodplain changed when we put that bridge in. We had no impact to residential structures or anything like that, but it did revise the elevations at one or two cross sections, and we just have to reflect that in as-built conditions.
Okay, cool. No more questions, Ben.
All right, everybody ready to vote? All right, Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, passes unanimously. Item number 6, consideration of City of Franklin contract number, we're getting in our year, 2024-0251 with Kimley Horn and Associates for a Safe Streets and Roads for All action plan.
So it's for a not to exceed amount of $240,000. That should have been actually placed into the caption, and we'll fix that when it goes to the full board. But this is actually funded 80% by the feds and 20% by us. So our responsibility will be 20% of the $240,000. And
For
ultimately,
the plan
this,
or for the implementation?
for the plan, to
Okay.
put the plan together. And this plan ultimately will lead to hopefully bigger grants that can help us implement the plan.
All right, may I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah.
We're doing great. All right, everybody ready for a vote? Alderman Berger?
Yes, I'm going to slow it down.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, passes unanimously. Item number 7, consideration to deny sewer availability for Skylight Ranch, 2051 Wilson Pike. And I do have your speaker cards. I'm going to let them go first, then we'll have y'all come up. Yeah, I'll call you up in just a minute if that's all right. I see Mr. White. Yes, sir.
I thought this was the Paul Holzen show.
It was. We welcome everyone to the table.
So this is an availability request that has been presented here before. I believe it was twice last year, 2 different sessions. And we just discussed the Mays Creek Basin last week at work session. In the last time we met on this availability, it was requested that we look at the Mays Creek Basin and get the study updated. So that's what we presented last week. Just as a reminder, this is a property outside the city limits in the Mays Creek Basin. It's bordered by Wilson Pike on the north and North Chapel Road on the west. There's no sewer out there now. Everybody's pretty familiar with this. The property sits near the top of the basin, so it would drain to a lot of sewer that's not even in place today. They're looking to construct some, at the time, 23-home subdivision. I know that's been kind of up in the air. They requested denial. We still recommend not denying the sewer because of the impact to the entire basin. But should the board decide to grant it, or the CIC decide to refer the board to grant it, the denial, there are some things that we would like to request that would give us the ability to put the pipe in the future, including the granting of easements for those interceptors, the ability to review and approve plats, grading plans, and site plans for the project to ensure that our easements are not hindered to where we can't use the land that's intended to serve as location for our sewer. An agreement to be recorded with all lots related to the participation in a special assessment district in the future if one is created for the service of sewer in the area. All owners of properties created as a result of the project be required to pay all appropriate and associated fees at the time of connection to city sewer, and that the city of Franklin will have no oversight or maintenance responsibility for any decentralized system created to serve the property. All oversight and maintenance should be fully the responsibility of a third party.
All right. Mr. Dean White, if you want to go ahead and come up and sit at the table, it's very casual. You can sit.
I have my chief with this.
Sure.
Come up as well.
Absolutely. Both of you, Nick, if you want to go ahead and come up too, and just make sure when you speak to push the green button. And I'm told that you want to go first.
You like it or no?
It's not about like, I just know his name.
This one's already on for you, so.
I was going to
I like, yeah, I'm just
I
going
was
to be
going to
quiet.
disassociate myself. Things were not appropriate. How much time have I got?
Well, I will give you 10 minutes. How's that sound?
Okay, so let's start with 10
And then I'm going to
minutes,
go
okay?
get a hook. How about that?
Okay. So the staff in this report gave some history about what we have done with the city. And if I could just very briefly go back to when we bought the property. The reason why Mr. Shuford is here today, a couple of roles. I've got 2 sons and 1 daughter. That's my son Will there, my daughter Tracy. My other son isn't here, his name's Will, but Nick and Will are best buds, and Nick found the property for me. And so one of the things, I just want to make a quick comment to start with what we're looking for. We filed an application for 23 houses and 58 short-term rental units or rural retreat units. And nothing's been discussed but our application for the 23 houses. When we were going through, before we bought the property, we did a lot of due diligence. Nick was involved with that in a very big way. And we found, he knew these people, and I'd never met before. It's the Robinson family. It's Marty Robbins, his son, it was his son, and his daughter-in-law. And they only, how long did we negotiate? Maybe 3 days or?
Not long.
And they kind of had a general idea that they would sell the property, but they only wanted to sell it to somebody that wasn't going to build Poplar Woods. I made a commitment to that family that I would never allow a subdivision to be built on that property. That was a condition of sale, a promise I made to those folks. And we explained, a little bit of the negotiation was, your property, you can build 2 or 3 houses on your property the way things are. And I was saying, you ain't gonna make, too many people are gonna pay over $6 million for 3 building lots. And so we knew at some point that we would be able to build more. And I was just interested in, during my life, to build 1 house or 3 houses. And so we started talking with the city. We first went to the city, and the city said, if you file an application, this is the process you go through. You file an application and be immediately denied, and you go to the county. And so that's what we were told going into buying the property. We bought the property. We filed an application. Well, we met with the county for close to a year, 6 months, a year, something like that. Came up with the only thing that we can build under current zoning is a rural retreat. Is the only way you can get a decentralized system. Well, there are very few other commercial issues. Y'all know all this stuff. It was discovery for us. Or you can build a house and have an individual septic system, and you got to show where all your septic system sites are, and that's where you can put your houses. And so we went down this road, and we're trying, should we try to get 23 houses, or should we try to get the short-term rental units or the rural retreat thing? And so we filed an application for both. We are using T-Squared, and they put together the application. I never saw it. I knew it had been filed in October of 22, assumed it had been denied in October 22. We went 6 or 8 months forward, and all of a sudden, my good friend, and I'm drawing a blank. Vernon calls me out of the blue and says, oh, by the way, we're not going to deny your application. This is like in March, I think, March of 2023. And I said, what? And he said, well, you're the first case that's ever not been denied. And I said, oh, great. So we've been in limbo since then, since March of 2023. And so he said, we're going to send it to the board. And I met Mayor Moore right about that time. I met everybody just right about that time. And so we've been spending the last year and a half waiting for, so we met with the city. They said, well, let's take another look at the Mace Creek Basin, see if we can run sewer. And I said, that's great. We'd love to have sewer out there. And then we came to the meeting in maybe it was the first meeting when, you'll remember this happening, because Vernon was saying, you should deny the service because we're going to give you access to the service. You just got to build the facility to get to our facility. And oh, by the way, it's 10 or 15 miles away.
Oh.
And so Ms. Berger said, you know, we can't provide sewer there. And I don't know if you remember me saying this. I said, that's going to be Exhibit A in my lawsuit if y'all don't deny this. because they're taking the position you're going to provide it and you're not providing anything.
That's the truth.
Right. So, so we're totally frustrated because, and then we find out that the city sewer water services and the county water sewer services have gotten together and said, we're not going to allow any decentralized systems of any kind in the UGB. So then my potential property uses went to virtually zero or 3 or 4. And so they said, wait for the study. We'll have the study to you in February. And Ms. Berger again said, you know, it needs to be February. Well, it ended up being August, and which is not bad. I mean, doing the best I can, but I mean, what you got to understand is this during this time we can't do. We got a barn that's got a bathroom in it that we can't use, and it's horrible. We got a porta-john sitting outside our barn for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, and the horses are peeing and crapping everywhere, and we can't even pee. And I mean, it's really frustrating to think about us. We're talking about sewage, and every day there is tons of raw sewage dumping out on that ground. And so I know that there's practical side and impractical side, and we understand there's got to be rules and regulations. We're very supportive of sewer. We are totally dedicated to no commercial, no multifamily, residential. And what we're urging this board to do is to put the biggest restrictions on us that you possibly can. I've been in property development my entire career. I was a lawyer in Memphis, and we did all the land use work for the whole city. And so I've been in this forever. I've never seen a situation where developers criticized for building too many units. And, you know, that Wilson Pike corridor, in my mind, I'm not a unicorn. I've tried to think of how to describe myself because I'm not a unicorn. So I got me a unicorn here, but my family's always lived in Tennessee, always had property in Tennessee my entire life. So I feel like we're a unicorn without a horn, maybe. I don't know what you call us. But we've been thinking a lot about who is it that's going to be moving, who are all these people that are moving to Williamson County and why? And it's because it's the most beautiful place in the world. And I think it's so hugely important for this board to restrict development on Wilson Pike, at least between those two tunnels. I mean, that area has such a storied history. This is Marty Robbins' property. We were sitting out on the back porch, had my sister in from Phoenix and trying to describe, because this is the first time they've seen the farm. What are y'all going to do with it? And, you know, we're saying, you know, we're going to have an equestrian community. And if they will allow us to have a few enough homes that the problem with having a few homes is you got a big purchase price you got to divide between a smaller number of people. We think our lots will go for $1.5 million for a building pad. I mean, that seems shocking, but I can show you per
Mr.
building
White, if
pad.
you'll start wrapping up.
Okay, I'm sorry. So at the end of the day, I don't care what y'all do with the application. I mean, we certainly need to amend it. If we're in this new paradigm, and I think we got to engage in very smart growth. And I think the basin needs to look at it as a whole and say, how many houses do we have to have in this basin on this system that will support it? And our thinking is, we're right next to the Smith property that goes all the way to 96. Between Mr. Smith's property and my property, there's about 100 yards that isn't on one of our properties. So between the two, I think our applications should be considered together. Put the open space on me, put the very high density development on 96 down on the
You
very
might get
south end of this
stoned on your way
property.
out the door.
I'm sorry?
You might get stoned on your way out the door. Be careful.
Oh, these are my buds.
All right, I'm
Anyway,
gonna
I'm
let
done.
Nick speak now. Mr. Shuford, make sure you push the green button and unpush his, please.
Yeah, so good to see you guys. Thanks for letting me chat really quick.
You don't get 10 minutes, just
Yes,
saying.
ma'am. You got it. I think that we have come a long way since we did the study. We know that that is the area of growth and where really most of the available land is. So we know that, sewer's going out that way. And I think when we initially applied with the concept of what we were going to do, now that we have this news after the study, the concept of what we've wanted to do has changed. And so, that corridor along Wilson Pike is, you're seeing bigger, nicer homes, larger lots. There's a lot of demand for that equestrian concept and on homes, larger lots. And so ultimately, I think that's what that community would rather see versus, a rural retreat concept. And so I think we would like to ask if we could, either amend or completely pull back that initial application so we can kind of quickly go back to the drawing board. It won't take us long. We already have a site plan from T-Squared initially that was a larger lot plan. So I think we just need to make a few tweaks. And I know you guys want to get this show on the road, and we certainly don't want to drag our feet either. So, but I think ultimately what we're looking for is,
Denial.
Right. And let us tweak the application, come back, show you guys what we want to do, and then certainly work with you guys on the easement.
No, what I said denial is there wasn't denial for sewer availability.
If they're going to revise the application,
I
they
think
probably
you
would
just-
bring that back and then come back through on the denial with a more
Specific
updated
plan.
specific plan.
Right.
So would the chair entertain a motion to table this potential application?
Or just let them withdraw and come back with a new one.
About what? Yes, sir, you may.
The only thought I would, I really don't care what you do.
Yes,
I
you
don't
do.
want to slow down the process. That's all I care about is,
Well, my point is if you've got an application in for one use and it's not what you want,
no, it is what we want.
Oh, it
But
is?
It's half what,
It needs to be modified.
so the-
well, we need to withdraw,
For that though.
that's what
Sure
I
you
don't know.
To modify
If it's
it?
going to be a different project than what they
They
submitted, you
just said
should.
they're just modifying a few things.
Or-
So
They
I'm-
don't
That's
have
not what I
that's
heard.
the question. That's what he just said. And
We
I-
got an application for 23
And all I'm
houses.
doing is asking for clarification here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to know.
Yes.
You said, well, it can be
the-
tweaked. So what can it
Yes,
be
so
tweaked?
the
Are we
rural
at the
retreat
whole
component
new
of it may not be in the actual plan.
We'll
Okay.
definitely
I
withdraw
just
that.
wanted
We'll
him to
withdraw
clarify that.
that
That's not what he said.
request for rural retreat. I mean, if that's a way for us to go forward, y'all can
Okay.
deny the rural retreat and we're going to resubmit virtually a half of a plan because this is what we really want is the 23 houses. And it can probably be 23 houses. We want up to because we got to have 5 acres per lot.
Doesn't he want to
So
build in the county?
may we get some clarification
Claire's
on the
bud.
initial application? Does it include the rural retreat?
What the initial application was 23 single-family homes, a barn, looks like 10 occupants. There was something that says guests, 20, and I thought that was just, I wasn't, I guess, clear on what that was. I didn't realize there were rental units, and then a pool that can, I guess, hold 20.
But please understand, in the context of this, we thought that we were just filing a piece of paper to get a
Understand.
denial.
Yes.
And so we didn't put together any kind of real plan.
Understood. So based on what he just said, I think that we can entertain a motion to defer and then come back and revisit this. So I need date specific with your, is that not what you?
Well, if they're going to change the plan, and it doesn't sound like you need a ton of time to do that, you can defer it, but then it'll be replaced by a different plan. Or you can withdraw it and resubmit it. It's kind of the same, you end up in the same place. It sounds like it's going to be somewhat different than this.
So cleaner just to
So
withdraw and
it'd be
resubmit.
better to know what your vision is. Scott laid out the general conditions that we would be looking at if the board did the denial. We'd still want to preserve the ability to serve the rest of the basin and
We're
you
totally in
eventually, should you so want it. So all of that, you know what we're trying to get at. We don't
Yeah,
want
sure.
to
We're on
do
the
something
same-
here
we're
that affects other
completely
folks.
on the same page.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, give us
so-
a
Can you read that?
I mean-
very, very short
Yeah.
continuance
Sounds totally
to get to, so we can talk about these technical issues and come up with a plan. We get a plan. I mean, we can be ready in 30 days for sure.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. I need some clarification here. I get the fact that you're coming and you're in the UGB and you're asking for denial of service to sewer. I get that. And then we can either deny or not deny that. If we deny it, and you go to the county and you build in the county, they have the say of what they build there, not us. But it is in UGB, so how does that work together for them to bring back, and we're scrutinizing all this, but agree that there are items here that you've listed that
There are
you want,
conditions, yeah.
conditions that you want them to abide by, which I think we would have to have a signed affidavit that you would abide by that of some sort. So where does that leave us? We are talking about the sewer, either deny it or not deny it, and still building in the county, correct? You intend to build in the county?
We intend to build wherever we can as
And-
quick as we can.
Yeah,
So this is a
right.
shovel-ready project to help
Yeah,
your sewer
but
system.
realistically, when I told you, if we annexed you in, there is no reasonable time period. I told you the truth, we could provide sewer. There's no
Right.
way. I mean, it's not unless you pay for it. And that is what, 10 miles away, or it's not
Mm-hmm.
that far, but it's quite a distance. So it said not the
I mean,
city.
I've got
You
ideas,
can
and
do
I
it.
don't have time to explain them.
Yeah.
No,
but,
sir, we don't.
Yeah, well, this is important.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't,
very important.
we need to give it some time here. And I think.
Can you give me 5 more minutes?
I'm just trying to find, well, if you had something really important to say that is
Give me 2 minutes.
after, that's up to the chair, apropos to us, our decision.
Yeah, I think we all understand now. I think it's just a matter of you retweaking what you want and coming in with a clean submission that we're not scratching our heads over what this is.
I am
Yeah,
very
because-
certain that if Eric and I can sit down, or whoever I need to talk to, we are on the same page.
Yes, sir.
And we have to work out the details.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
I think it's very important from the city's standpoint that we know, after this Maze Creek Basin study, we know where the lines need to go, and you need to abide by that for us, so that when sewer eventually does come through there, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, who knows, that have that available to come through your property, and we're not going to bulldoze someone's home to come through. So that's really
well,
important.
there's
Yeah.
we have no opposition to the
I
condition.
just want to make sure that's understood.
Thank you, Bev, for that. I'm sorry.
So I was just going to add in, so if you guys, if it is really just a minor tweak, I just checked with Hasty, you could make in order to avoid having to wait 30 more days for this next CIC, you could still make the first September meeting work session.
Perfect.
So if you can get all of the information to us, we can move this to that work session.
Sounds great.
Okay, well, before I leave, Scott and I'll figure out a date for us to sit down and come.
So on
We
this
don't need
particular
to
item-
defer in this body, we need to send it to BOMA so that it can be looked at then.
And we'll put it on when it's
So we're not-
updated.
What's the action today? Just
Um, I don't need to put words in your mouth, but knowing the direction we're going, I would say you send this to BOMA because they're going to have final approval.
So then,
At
would be-
the next available board meeting. And available means
As long as
the
we-
content is ready
content.
and something that you all can
Right,
respond
but if we
to.
approve it at this body for denial, approve for denial, it's confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing.
It is not
I wouldn't
final
take any
until it
action
goes to
because you
vote.
don't have anything in front of you. I mean, we all have a concept
Point-
here,
yeah.
But here's
but I
my
would just
point.
say, bring it to them and then you all can act.
The way the item reads today,
Mm-hmm.
consideration to deny sewer availability for Skylight Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is consideration to deny.
Yeah,
It has nothing to do with the plan, it has not attached to
so we
this.
can defer that.
So,
Well, there,
So
the
point of
plan is
information, if I,
attached
if I.
as an exhibit.
okay, one second, Mr. Yes, go ahead, Alderman
I
Caesar.
think he's saying what I'm saying. The plan is attached, and if we don't have a plan, how can I make a decision to deny sewer
Yeah.
to a property if there's no,
Yeah.
Or,
right? So I think, that being said,
I need an
if I could
attorney
put forward a
over here.
motion
you are certainly able.
to table this agenda, if that is not completely inappropriate, indefinitely.
Table's not typically a.
What I would do is, you're a committee of the board.
What's the,
If you direct or ask us
My-
to send this to the board as a work session item, sometimes we decide not to put stuff on the committee. It's better for the whole board
Yep.
to hear it. We can do that.
Okay.
And then we'll just set it up that way.
But it has to be-
This
But-
is a less formalized body. Is that okay?
Yeah, what you could do is you can make a motion to recommend to send to a work session.
And the date to be based on the submittal of an updated plan. So if that makes the September
dates are-
10th
Okay,
meeting,
can we just-
fantastic.
One
Yeah,
second,
well,
whoa. Let us finish, I apologize. It's informal, but it's
Miss-
also somewhat formal. One
Mr.
second.
Chair, do these attachments go with it when we recommend it? So
Well,
if these
if
attachments
it's
are gonna
updated, we'll
change-
provide the updated information.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
so
then
hopefully it's updated.
So may I have a motion?
I would make a motion to
Thank you.
refer this to the full board.
That's good.
At our next work session.
Next
Next
available
available
work
work
session
session.
in terms of this being ready for consideration. Does that make sense?
I would make a motion to refer this to our full board work session once the information we need to make a decision or present it to the full board work session is available.
Yep. So,
All right.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
all right,
Everybody ready for a vote?
One quick question.
Yes, sir.
Tonight in the joint workshop, we're looking at a scenic corridor for Wilson Pike. I just want to make sure as we look at this and so on, this has no impact, influence, blah, blah, blah.
Got it. Everybody ready to vote?
shouldn't,
Alderman Berger,
yes.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, item number 8, capital projects dashboard and status updates. Jonathan, you're not going to come up here for this? You're usually the spokesperson. Do you have laryngitis?
He's trained Paul to take this on.
That would be debatable.
The draining?
All right, Paul, anybody, go ahead and, if you want to highlight some things, or we can ask if they have any things they're wanting to ask questions about. Which way would you like to go?
Just highlight some things quickly and then you can ask questions.
Because we need to be out of here soon for the next meeting.
I think what Southeast Park is out the bid, open bid September the 19th.
Heard it many
Lawrence
times.
Lake out the bid, open bid September 19th as well. And Hewitt is really, really close to getting the notice to proceed. They have all the documents. They're just doing final approvals and we should get that notice to proceed. So we're hopefully September, October timeframe bidding, awarding in October, November timeframe. But we're continually to push that project. Jordan Road is under construction. It's going great. Contractors ahead of schedule. Jordan Road. And the Bundle Bridge project is complete. I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Anybody have any questions? Yes, Eric?
Talk about Columbia Avenue. I get questions on that from time to time, just overall status of where we are with that.
Right-of-way acquisition has begun. We just got our first batch of title opinions. And so the appraisers have started to determine valuation of the takings.
And as you remember on that one, that is an 80-20 match situation where federal's paying 80 and state of Tennessee is paying the 20 in that case. So we're really just providing sort of project oversight and management to keep it moving. So that's kind of our participation at this point. And state has affirmed that they're going to continue to provide that 20% support. So that's good.
Anybody have any questions about specific projects?
It seems to be taking a little while to get out of 5 Points. Are we-
Yes.
Yeah. Is
A
that
little,
delay?
little while than longer.
That's me.
Yes, please.
Whomever.
It is, the Guardy is going a little bit slower than we anticipated. I think there was a little bit of some underground conditions that utilities that weren't exactly marked that have caused some some modifications in the field to be done. They are moving their bypass down more toward the Church Street intersection and getting out of 5 Points, but they won't be able to open up 5 Points yet. We just got the second phase of the traffic control plan, so I'm hoping that within the next, I think within the next 2 weeks, we should be out of there. I have a progress meeting next week where I'll get an updated schedule.
Do we know when they'll move south?
Yeah, I think in 2 weeks they
Okay.
should be, but
Okay.
I'd also like to caveat that with I need to get a better construction schedule from them, and I can certainly provide that narrative to you once I get it.
Are we communicating with the people in the neighborhood?
Yeah, so once,
Sorry.
so after we have the progress meeting next week and I get a better schedule, I intend on sending another email out. We have a distribution list, and then the meetings with the downtown business associations are the first Thursdays of the month, and I'm kind of a standing item on their agenda.
As it moves, what is the distance that it moves in? Like what are the chunks,
Increments, yeah.
increments that it moves down Lewisburg?
So it's going to go from 5 Points to Church, and then it goes from Church to Margin, and then Margin itself is an intersection. I mean, that's just a big mess right there. And then from Margin to
Folks?
Folks, I think, yeah, and then from Folks down to the railroad tracks. I
tracks.
can't think of that road. But so it's five phases, and they'll move down those, and once they move to the next phase, the other part will be open.
The one of the biggest complaints I've heard in that intersection has been actually the pedestrian. You can't get. People are literally just running across the street, both
There, we've had a problem
from
with
West Main and
trespassers,
from
yeah.
there, because it's just there's not even that access no longer exists there by Jimmy Gentry. And so I don't know, as we move, if there's a way to start opening up some pedestrian access, but you can't get there from here.
Starbucks and go across the street.
People are literally just going down over West Main and they're just running across the street.
Okay.
And a couple more weeks of that is, it's just not safe.
So what I can do is I can check with, Bennis just did I know Adam approved the traffic control plan. I don't remember what was about the sidewalk improvements. I can check and see if there's anything we can modify with him about
If
that.
we can get to that crosswalk.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, if we can pull that back a little bit. So I'll look at that, and then maybe we'll get something out in an email to you all before it goes out in the distribution list for the rest of the folks.
Anybody else have any questions? Greg?
My only question is, ahead of those staged movements, are we sending letters out a week, 2 weeks in advance?
So my intention is with just email updates at a minimum of every month, if not sooner, once we know if things are, so at a minimum every month, but potentially sooner if things go faster than planned.
I'm mainly thinking about the homes whose driveways are going to be terminating into the streets that are going to be somewhat restricted. How are we, hey, don't have a birthday party this week or in 2 weeks, or you're going to be
Yes.
encumbered. So
So when we had the neighborhood meeting with all of those, there was a lot of residents that came to that neighborhood meeting, and we talked about kind of communicating those requests. If you've got lawn people or pool people or whatever it is that come, access will be maintained to residents at all times. It just may take a minute because there'll have to be traffic control people who will have to navigate you into your driveway.
sure.
So just a little bit of patience, is that kind of.
I guess really the root of that question is similar to what Alderman Brown was bringing up. If we talked in that neighborhood meeting about it being from September 1st to September 14th, those between 200 and 220 are going to be disrupted. And now it's going to be September 10th through September 30th. That's a piece of information we need to communicate out to those residents. And I understand there is some fluidity with construction, and we're dealing with 60, 70-year-old pipes down there that may not all be what we
Well,
thought
but
they
the
were.
same's to be said for the work that's going on right now. If it's the tenure of it is extending a couple of weeks, you've got people who are making their living by access to their property. So I would update them and let them know it's going to be longer instead of waiting a month if that's the general calendar.
And I do wonder, in addition to email, if we could utilize the city's Facebook and social media to provide at least a weekly update of how progress is going and where it's going next. Recognizing that we're trying to hit a moving target a little bit here, but better communication is probably, you probably can't over-communicate during this.
More is better.
So in the neighborhood meeting we had, we didn't necessarily put timeframes. We put 3 to 6 months and then 6 to 8 months. So because of that, we explained that fluidity in the schedule. So we'll figure out from our meeting next week, we'll get a better time frame for these other next phases.
And we'll look at some strategies on how to get that information out, not just through the email, but maybe something people can check.
Yeah.
So we'll look at that.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, anybody have anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion, everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.